Reset. Today I am broadcasting from a different location. I am visiting family. So if you happen to hear a baby in the background, that's okay. We're going to keep the party going. All right. So today we're talking about teenagers. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And so all of our Rise and Reset and lives will be centered around healthy family dynamics, identification, mental health wellness as it relates to children and families. Okay. So let's see. Good morning. I already see my Rise tribe joining me. All right, first one to get on was Stacey Ellis and Lizzie Gallup. Congratulations, ladies. I'm just taking my notes. And Stacey, just taking my notes because you have just won a $5 Amazon e-gift card. So congratulations. Thank you all so much for getting up early with me on this Tuesday morning. Let's see who else is in the room. Let's see. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Marcia. Good morning to Wanda, Sandy Lopez. Good morning. Come on into the room, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So we're talking about what are the warning signs of a mental illness as it relates to teenagers. Now, teenagers, they already may seem, if you have a teenager, I want you to put number one in the comment section. But teenagers might already seem like, they're out of this world. It's like they woke up one day and they were moody, they were agitated, they were angry. You just never know what you're going to get. So I want to separate what is normal teenage development versus what might be indicators of a mental illness. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Before we get in our topic, I want you to go ahead and tag any family member, any teenagers, anybody, any friends with teenagers, so that they may be able to learn with us. All right, so I see Candia has a teenager, Tawanda has a teenager. Great. Yeah, I'm just entering this teenage stage and it is different. It's different. So it's like we just kind of wait. We just, they walk around and we just wait. There's silence. We wait to see what mood might appear or which version of my son might show up. So, all right. So glad I'm going to be in grandma stage. I hear that stage is pretty fun. Yeah, you get to play with the grandbabies and send them back. So, all right, we could go ahead and get into it. So for those of you who are new and who are joining me for the first time, I'm Prunella Harris. I'm a licensed mental health professional. I run a practice, Restorative Family Services, located right in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And every Tuesday we get up early and we educate about mental wellness, mental health, and we provide encouragement and inspiration. So if that sounds like you, join the Rise Tribe, okay? Go ahead and visit our Facebook page and like the page and set up the notifications so that you can be notified every time we go live. Tuesdays, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so let's see. Anybody else out there with teenagers? Put a one in the comment if you have teenagers. Teenagers. Okay, so, Danielle Gomez has teenagers. Okay, and good morning, Debbie. Thanks for joining. Oh, your sister is Danielle. Well, welcome, Danielle. Welcome to the Rise Tribe. All right. Okay, so what are the 5? Before I get into that, I do want to talk a little bit about the stage of adolescence. And this is a conflict, this is a conflictual stage for the family when teenagers are coming into their own. One is parents are adjusting. So it's an adjustment for everybody. The parents are adjusting because for so long they have been making all of the decisions for the child up until that point. Now the child is growing up and have their own opinions and thoughts, and sometimes they don't always align. So it's an adjustment to leave space for that teenager to practice, argumentative and being combative. Sometimes it's at the wrong time and parents want to assert control. because they've always done this and this is habit for them. So they have to figure out that they have to navigate that uh, uh, period, that phase. And then teenagers don't always have the right mechanisms of asserting themselves in a assertive manner. Sometimes it might come off as aggressive or disrespectful. So there's a conflict going on. The teenager wants more freedom. They are pulling away from the parent and wanting to be more in line with their friends, and there's a lot of social learning going on. There's a lot of social hierarchies. So if they're getting bullied at school, if there's cyberbullying going on, that can impact them tremendously. And parents, feel, because they have pulled away, feel at a disadvantage to how to handle that. So we're going to go over the warning signs, what you should look for, of things that are outside the normal development of the adolescent phase. Okay. All right, I see something going on in the chat. Julie Paul Baptiste has joined us. Good morning, Julie. Thanks for getting up. All right, so Debbie says, my teenager just turned 18 years old, so we're transitioning. Yeah, well, actually, they're still in that developmental phase because the brain is still developing until the age of 26, but she probably is out of that acute phase where there's that shock. But 18 comes a lot more freedom as well, so it will get easier. So you'll be doing okay. All right, Rise Tribe, let's go on into it. All right, so 5 warning signs that your teenager may be struggling with the mental illness. Now, I want you to keep in mind, because some of these you might see, but they don't last. The only time a disorder is deemed a mental illness is, one, if it is happening across multiple domains. So maybe there's a disruption in, school or the community. It's either home, school, or community. Those are the three. I'm sorry, I got a little brain fog there. So it has to be able to, it's not really a disorder if it's not negatively impacting one or two, maybe two of those areas. Okay. So keep that in mind. And it also has to be persistent. So these warning signs that I give you have to persist about 2 weeks before we can deem it an issue. So I'm giving you this as some tools in your pocket to watch out for, but also keeping in mind, is it impacting their school functioning? Is it impacting their relationship with friends outside in the community? Is it impacting the household? So if it meets that, and then you put it against, okay, now has it been 2 weeks or more, to determine whether this is a problem. Okay. All right, so the first thing we want to look out for is sleep patterns. So, the average teenager needs about 8 to 10 hours of sleep. So, when the sleep pattern's off, either they're getting too little sleep or they're getting too much sleep. So, and there are different mental illnesses depending on what is going on. So for someone who is getting little sleep, we're looking at mood disorders, because mood disorders, there's a decreased need for sleep, and they're probably staying up all night, getting less than 4 hours of sleep, or maybe staying up for the entire day, like 24 hours straight, and they're doing this, and then they seem to be really riled up at that. So that's an indication of a mood disorder, a bipolar mania, when they have this decreased need for sleep. On the reverse side, if they're sleeping too much, where they're very lethargic and sleeping all the time, that could be an indication of depression. So again, we have to couple this. Sometimes they could be fighting off an illness. So there are other things that could mimic too much sleep. So just put that in the back of your mind. One, I'm sorry, I'm shaking the camera. One is the sleep patterns off. So there's a change in sleep. Okay. Now, number 2, some telltale sign is if their appetite changes. Now, remember, this phase is um, the phase where social environment is important. So teenagers may want to fit in, may want to be accepted. And, this is the age where we want to watch out for eating disorders or disordered eating, where they are either restricting calories or, you know, um, eh, maybe binge eating or eating too much. So, any changes in their eating habits is an indication that there might be something going on. So, you want to look for excessive weight loss or excessive weight gain, sign of unhealthy relationship with food. I'm sorry, you want to assess further for clues of, talk to your child. If you start to see any of these, and it's raising a red flag, talk to them and try to ascertain what what their image of their body is, their level of self-confidence, whether they've been hoarding or restricting, purging, or any of those other disordered eating patterns. All right, we're going to talk to you at the end of what to do with all 5 of these. Okay. Number 3 is lack of motivation. And it's difficult because during this COVID process, you start to see teenagers who were very vibrant, kind of lose that motivation, staying away from their friends, staying home. So, talk about those things. When you see any of these red flags, you want to kind of, hey, what's going on? How are you feeling? But lack of motivation is a telltale sign that there might be something going on. Maybe they've lost interest in their activities. Maybe they were, on the debate team and that has been shut down, or the basketball team or the soccer team, and now they're not gathering. And so now they're, feeling down and depressed. So, they suddenly withdraw from a club or sport that they once loved. Lack of motivation. Or they suddenly, or maybe they were great at school and they suddenly don't feel like, engaging in school, or don't feel like talking with their friends. So that's a telltale sign. Number 4 is important, poor hygiene. Hygiene is important because it is an indicator of self-care. And if they've lost motivation and they no longer care about their appearance and they no longer care about their needs, where maybe they're not grooming themselves, they haven't showered in 2 weeks, they're not brushing their hair, brushing their teeth, changing their clothes for longer than 2 weeks, that's an indication that they may be depressed. So we want to keep an eye on that and just check in and talk with them. All right, and then we're going to go over what to do. All right, the last one I want to talk about is extreme moodiness. Now, this is different from your normal teenage moodiness because, again, the teenagers have a lot of hormones running through their body. There's a lot of information. They're looking for freedom. So, they wake up angry most of the time, or maybe they may be tearful. But this is disproportionately moody. This is, and for 2 weeks or more. All right. So we're looking at a shift, and this word, the clinical term for it is mood lability. And so that means a shift or a change in mood. So they can go from euthymic, which is normal mood, to suddenly angry and they stay there, or they can go from crying to elated. But there's a huge shift and variation in their moods, and it just doesn't seem like your normal moodiness, but just a little elevated. And so something that looks like this is maybe there is extreme crying. Everything seems to upset them and they cry, things that normally wouldn't, bother anyone, but they seem to have a big response to it. Or maybe there is an impulsivity, where they're just acting on impulse. So, they're acting wildly, they're moving their body wildly. Maybe someone upsets them or says something they don't like and they punch the wall, or, they're running just impulsively in the middle of the street, but there's this impulsiveness that makes it dangerous or is destructive of property. Those are things that are disproportionate. Abnormal aggressiveness, uncontrolled feelings of euphoria. Maybe they're just, you know, overly happy, just, kind of seeming a little manic at times. Um, those are some things that you want to, check out with a mental health provider. Now, one of the things, if you suspect any of these signs, and I'm going to go over them again, if you suspect any of these signs, the first thing to do would be to go to your primary care physician, because a lot of times there are physical disorders or symptoms, that physical ailments that can mimic a mental health. So we want to rule that out first. We want to make sure that they've had recent blood work. We want to make sure that they are not dealing with thyroid issues, because thyroid issues can cause you to either, depending on whether it's hypo or hyper, you can either be depressed with lethargy, or you can be very anxious. So we want to make sure that we're dealing with any of the physical symptoms first, or anything that could be attributed to a physical health issue first, rule that out. And then if everything checks out, their vitamin levels are great, then you want to move to the mental health issue and dealing with that. And so what I would do is I would contact a mental health professional for further assessment. So these are just red flags to be aware of, things to look for. And if you see any of these, definitely get help of a professional to make sure that you're handling and dealing with these issues the correct way. And if you go and there's nothing, the provider will let you know, hey, this is nothing, and they may just kind of help with the adjustment piece of it. Okay. But seeing a therapist, there's nothing, there's no setbacks from seeing a therapist. So you want to definitely, if you suspect any of these, go ahead and reach out to your local therapist. And if you're in our area, go ahead and visit our website, and we'd be glad to do an assessment for you guys. Our website is www.restorativefamilyservices.com. Let me recap all 5 of these. All right, so number 1 was, these are the 5 telltale signs. Number 1 was sleep patterns are off. Either they're sleeping too much or sleeping too little. They require less sleep. So that's one of the telltale signs. Then there's appetite changes. Maybe they're skipping meals, maybe they're fasting excessively, or they're working out excessively. So just really checking in, saying, hey, is everything okay? Have you eaten? What have you eaten? So, and then paying attention to weight shifts, excessive weight gain or excessive weight loss. Then there's number 3, lack of motivation. Maybe they've withdrawn from activities they once loved. That's a telltale sign that there's something going on. All right. Number 4 is poor hygiene. Poor hygiene. Now, this is different from your normal poor hygiene. If you have, usually you deal with this issue with adolescent males. But if this is excessive, meaning that just one, they haven't been sleeping, or they be sleeping a lot, and then they're, unmotivated, and now they're not waking up, combing their hair, brushing their teeth, caring for themselves, doing your normal daily self-care. Then you have the extreme moodiness, where there's a huge shift and it's disproportionate than your normal teenage mood swings. Okay. So any questions about this? If you got questions, go ahead and type your questions in there. Again, one of the things that we recommend is, if you suspect any of this, doing a bimodal or a multi action plan, where you set up an appointment with your pediatrician or your child's doctor, and rule out any other ailments, physical symptoms that could attribute it to any of these. But you want to go to the doctor. You want to make sure there's no medical concern, no biological concern for some of these things. And then you also want to reach out with a mental health professional, okay? Because it's all connected. Our mind, body, and spirit is all connected. And so dealing with the physical aspect of it and the mental is going to give your child and you the best results possible. All right. And that is what I have for you guys. If you guys have questions, go ahead and comment in the comment section below, and we'll take those questions. Again, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and what we're going to be doing is focusing our lives around prevention, around education of child and family issues that will help prevent child abuse. Okay. All right. So here are some announcements. If you guys have questions, I'm going to go ahead and take questions if you have questions. But here's some announcements of what's going on with our program. So Rise and Reset next week, we're back here Tuesday at 7:30, and we'll be talking about 5 ways to co-parent with the narcissist. All right, so if any of you have separated from a narcissist but have children together, you want to tune in to that. But definitely that's going to be a good one. I'm excited to announce, we do have a podcast coming out soon. So you'll be getting more details if you are a part of our email list. If you're not a part of our email list, that's okay. You can go to our website at www.restorativefamilyservices and a pop-up asking you if you want to join our email list. And you go ahead and put your name and email in there, and we'll send you some updates and emails and all that good stuff. All right. Let's see. What else? We are accepting new clients. So if you're in anywhere in Pennsylvania, we are doing telehealth at this time. If you're anywhere in Pennsylvania, we can go ahead and set up an appointment. You can visit our website and we'll get you started. We do have a virtual teen group. So if you've identified some of these issues as concern, we do have a sign up for our virtual teen group. All you have to do is visit our website, request a call, and one of our admin teams will talk to you more about that group and how to get your child or teenager involved in that. All right, because during COVID, our teenagers are kind of struggling. Any teenagers that were graduating haven't been able to graduate. Just the normal developmental milestones that you learn through socializing, they haven't had an opportunity to do that. So we definitely want to have that support group to have an outlet for those teenagers, those adolescents. All right, let's see what you guys are doing in the chat. All right, so let's see. Lizzie Gala. Okay. So Lizzie, how would you suggest I approach the subject with a close friend? Her daughter displays some of this symptoms. Well, a couple things you could do. You can forward her this live and say, hey, I thought you might enjoy this. That way I do the heavy lifting for you and you can blame me. Or you can, pull her aside and say, I listened to this Facebook Live and there were some symptoms. I think you should probably have your daughter seen by the physician and a mental health professional just to rule it out, And if they say nothing, that's okay. It's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. So I hope I helped you with that. Give me a thumbs up, Lizzie, if I answered your question. Okay. Debbie says, don't forget to mention the teen group. I love my tribe. Yes, Debbie. Yep, I got it. Do I get an A? Debbie is one of my administrative assistants. So she's grading me to make sure I get it all in here. It's usually her and Michael's. Today is her. All right, let's see. I'm trying to. Okay. My daughter let me try to get that whole thing up there. My daughter has mental illness, but she recently had to change therapists, and it has triggered her depression. And I'm having a hard time helping her through. This seems to as though her depression is worse. And that's one of the things that are difficult because transitions, our therapists are people, right? So sometimes, life happens, they retire, have babies, and things of that nature. So a transition, a change in therapist is not uncommon, but it could uh, be the cause. It could add to the stress level already, and it could be the cause of a client to regress. So I would continuously make it easy to talk about this transition and how transitions can be hard. I would talk to the current therapist. I would keep checking in to make sure that she feels comfortable because sometimes you can transition and the therapist that you transition to isn't a good fit. But you don't want to transition, so you kind of settle. You don't want to do another change, so you kind of settle with not being happy. So I would continuously talk about that and see what she says, but continuously uh, don't allow her to not go, right? Because what happens with depression is you want so much to isolate, right? And the more you isolate, the more your symptoms increase. So, getting out and doing something, even if it's something you don't want to do, even if you're forcing yourself to get up every day, it's a routine. And what you're doing is you're telling your brain, no, I'm not going to allow this depression to take over me. I'm going to just continuously moving forward. So it's hard to be consumed by those symptoms of depression when you're constantly moving. So I would keep the lines of communication open. And if she is dissatisfied with that specific therapist, you know, offer some strategies of maybe we can try another therapist, or maybe we can try a different activity. But as long as she's doing something, so it may not be if she decides that she doesn't want to go to that particular therapist, maybe there's some activity that she can do weekly that forces her to get up and get out and keep moving. All right, give me a thumbs up, Danielle, if I've answered that question. But I would keep the lines of communication and have her drive the treatment. That's one of the things, not really force her to stay with that specific therapist, but validation. Sometimes we're going through things and we really make a connection with our therapist. And then when they leave we're grieving because it's a relationship that we've lost and we're in the grieving process. So validate her emotions and then, ask what she would like to do. And I think, when you have when she is allowed to give some input in the direction of her treatment and the direction of her life, it gives her power and control back. And it also helps her buy into the whole treatment process. Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. I think I got everybody's questions that I see up there. If you have a question and I haven't got it, go ahead and type it in quickly because we're going to get to riddle time. Those are some good questions. Kimberly Jean. Hi, Kimberly. Welcome to the Rise Tribe. You're listening. I love it. All right. Thank you. Thank you. That's the sweetest compliment I have gotten today. I love listening to you. Thank you, Kimberly. I love doing this. I love, bringing mental health right into your homes, right into wherever you are, whether you're walking, whether you're driving in the car, because, so much we kind of suffer in silence, and I don't want that for any of you. So, all right. So if you guys have questions, and let's say we move past and you have questions later, it's okay. You can email me at info@restorativefamilyservices.com. info@restorativefamilyservices.com. All right. I am slow with typing and talking, so I hope that makes sense. Nope, I spelled it wrong. See, this is why I can't do that. Okay. I think you got it. All right. So you guys know what time it is. Thanks. Thanks, guys. All right. So we got it in there. All right. So it's time. Crack your knuckles. It's our second time to win a prize. I'm going to ask that Lizzie and Stacy sit this one out so we can get someone else in to win. All right. The winner of this riddle is going to win a $5 Amazon e-gift card. I'm going to email that right to you following this broadcast. So everyone get your knuckles cracked. Get your thumbs. If you're listening and watching from your phone, get your thumbs ready. Riddle time. Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. All right. I have a tail and I have a head, but I have no body. Oh, wait a minute. I put the answer right there. Sorry. Now we got to get... Now we got to... First one to repeat. Oh, wait. Oh, I am not a snake. I'm sorry. That was not the answer. I got a little nervous. Like, what was I doing? I did this late last night, so I could have been asleep. But you know what the answer is. Oh, Reba Bell got it. Congratulations, Reba. Yes, it is a coin. All right, so I have a tail and I have a head, but I have no body. I am not a snake. What am I? And Reba got it right. Congratulations, Reba. I am a coin. Congratulations. All right, guys, it has been fun as usual. Tune in next Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. We're going to be covering how to co-parent with a narcissist, what you need to do. Thank you so much for participating and getting up early with me. You guys enjoy your day on purpose. Take care. Goodbye.